All right, what is going on? This is going to be an insane video, so please, please, please watch the whole video or watch it multiple times. Watch it 100 times if you have to. This will be the most important video I ever make because if you do not have the mental side of trading, you will never be a profitable trader. And I can explain exactly why. I can walk you through every single thing I've been through and tell you how mindset is what changes everything, right? So I'm sure you've had those times where one, you're completely over risking. You have way too much size. You're stressed out. You're freaking out, and then it stops out, and you're like, oh man. And now you have this big hole because you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Now you're trying to get back at the market, and you're like, oh, well, I'll just risk more on this trade to make up for that trade, and then you just dig yourself in this huge hole, and everything's just bad. That's just a bad situation, right? Or you have FOMO. You see these stocks going up. You see people hitting these trades. You see all this stuff going on, and you're like, oh my gosh, well, I want to be in something. So then you just start buying stuff to buy it because you feel like it could fit your criteria. It might work, and then you take it, and then you stop out, and you're like, oh my gosh, this just sucks. Or you're like, oh, I enter all the bad trades and I miss all the good ones, or every trade I enter stops out, and all the ones I don't take are the ones that go 100%. And it's like all of this comes back to your attitude because ultimately your results are due to your thoughts. And I know a lot of people don't find that connection to the stock market because they're like, oh, well, the market doesn't know, what thoughts I'm having. And yeah, you're right. It doesn't know. It doesn't know how much you're making. It doesn't know how much you're losing. It doesn't know what you're thinking. You're exactly right. But the thing that it does have is you attract what you are in harmony with, right? So if you have this mentality that I miss all the best trades, every trade I take stops out, or I'm never going to make money, or I just want to be a profitable trader, right? If you're putting yourself in this lower spot, you are going to attract everything that you need to get there. Every single thing that you need to make that the reality is what will come in your direction, right? So if you are in a negative headspace, if you are if you're in a bad mood, right? You're just like, oh, things just not going my way. Life sucks. Like, this is terrible. You're going to find that that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to be in all the worst trades. You're going to miss all the best trades. Things are going to go terribly, right? And so I'm going to kind of go over in this video how you can really try to not unemotionalize, but take the emotion out of trading, because the goal is you want to trade a system, right? Once your emotions get involved, that's when everything just goes south, right? Good or bad. When you have a big win, you don't want to be super, super hyped, because then the losers will hurt even more, right? Or you'll get super hyped and then you'll be like, oh man, I'm the best trader in the world. And then, you'll take this other trade and be like, oh, well, I'll risk a little bit more because, this thing's going to go crazy. And then it stops out and you're like, oh, well, I just lost all my gains from that one. And so it's just, the best thing you can possibly do is trade a system and not care, right? And it's much easier said than done. It's not easy. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. 1 second. Okay, sorry. So the best thing you could do is just know your system, trade the system, and not really care, right? And that sounds, way too simple. It's not that easy. You're exactly right. It's not that easy. So I'm going to kind of give you ways that you can improve your trading, ways that you can improve your life, and ways that you can really change everything. And this is kind of what I did, right? So step one, you need to understand what the strategy is, right? You need to understand the way it works. You need to understand, the more you understand, the more you will have confidence, right? So if you are freaked out about a trade, one, you could be oversized, right? If you're sizing too big, if you have too much of a position, then you're going to be freaking out, right? But assuming you're positioned correctly, if you find yourself, scared to take the trade, you find yourself, hesitant or whatever, it's probably because you don't understand the strategy, right? So what you have to understand is you need to know what your strategy is. You need to know what the criteria is for, something that fits your setup. And then it's just a checklist. Does this fit my setup? Yes. Is this a leading stock? Yes. Is it breaking yesterday's highs? Yes. Is my stop loss at low of the day? Yes. Am I risked 1% or less? Yes, right? So you go through this checklist and then you just trade it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter, right? Because ultimately you sized correctly, you had the plan, and you followed it. And so the biggest thing you can understand is a winning trade is not a trade that you make money in. It's a trade where you follow the plan. Because you're going to statistically, let me get into the statistics here. With the breakout strategy, on average, you're going to lose 2 out of every 3 trades, right? So if we take 3 trades in a day, odds are 2 of them aren't going to work, right? So if you are over risking on 2 of those, and the one that you don't over risk on is the one that goes, you just erased all of the winning from the profitable trade because you're sized way too heavy in the other trades, right? Because odds are you're going to size heavy in the ones that don't work, and the ones that do work, you're probably going to be undersized, right? When you over risk, almost every single time I over risked were the ones that would stop out so fast. I would lose the money instantly. And then the ones where I risked, small or whatever, or like normal, would be the ones that win. I'd be like, oh my gosh, And I guess it's a good thing because I didn't want to keep over risking because it seemed like every time I did, I lost. So you need to understand, what your plan is. You need to understand the strategy. You have to understand that you are just applying a system, and statistically, you have to go into the trade understanding odds are it's going to lose, right? And I don't mean to be like, I'm not saying negatively. I'm just saying like you have to understand in the back of your mind that chances are the trade's not going to work. So you have to size it properly. You have to size and understand, okay, this, odds are this isn't going to work. Am I okay with losing $300, $400, $500 on this? Or, am I putting too much of a position in this? Am I okay with losing this much for this trade? Right? And when you ask yourself questions, you're able to really reflect and be like, okay, am I being impulsive, or does this actually fit my criteria? Is this actually something I should be buying? And then you make better decisions. And so you need to know what your plan is, right? You need to know what fits your criteria, and you need to ask yourself questions, right? Am I sized correctly? Does this fit my setup? Is it meeting all the criteria? Is my stop loss where it should be? Do I know where I'm going to sell, or like when I'm going to sell? You have to know all these things. And then from there, you won't be stressed because you've already accepted, okay, if it stops out, I'm losing this amount, right? And my take profit will be, the first 3 to 5 days. I'll make, 3, 4, 5 times my risk by then. And so you're understanding, okay, I'm risking $500 and my upside is 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, right? So you understand what your risk to reward is, and then you can accept it. And when you accept it, you're not going to be panicking about the trade. You're not going to be stressing about it because you already know, like, look, I'm either losing 500 or I'm making, a couple thousand. And so you're just like, it is what it is. Now you just know you traded the system. And so you want to understand that you are just trading a system. You are trading a system. The second that you try to make any changes and, you're like, oh, I'm just going to size really big on this one because I really like this stock. And the second, you try to like manipulate things, you're like, oh, well, it hit my stop, but I think I'm going to move my stop down to, yesterday's low or something. And the second you start breaking these rules, even if it helps you that time, right? And this is the biggest problem people have is they'll be like, oh, well, I'm not supposed to sell for the first 3 to 5 days, but I'm going to sell some today, right? It's day 2. I'm going to sell some today just because. And then they'll sell some, and then the next day it'll go down. And they're like, oh, yeah, see, I knew it. And then from then on, the next time around, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to sell some today. Day 2, I'm going to trim like 50% of it. And then the next day it'll go crazy, and they'll be like, what the heck? Because the system was built in a way to where you will make the most money, right? It is statistically proven that after the first 3 to 5 days is when the strongest breakouts occur, right? The first 3 to 5 days are when the biggest move is going to happen, right? There's a reason that we sell within the first 3 to 5 days. There's a reason that we have these rules. There's a reason the stop loss is at the low of day. There's a reason that we have all these different criteria because this strategy has been backtested since the stock market opened. And it's worked since then. So who are you to try to think that you can change things and try to make a quick buck, right? So you have to understand that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Depending on how much money you have in your account is how much you're going to make, right? If you don't have a lot of money, you're not going to make a ton of money, and over-risking, you're just going to blow up. So you have to understand that, it's all relative to your account, and what you want to do is you want to create a system and create these habits to where as your account grows, you're ready for the next level, right? When your account hits 100K, you're not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to, you have the habit of over risking. You're like, oh, I'm just going to risk 10 grand on this trade and I'm going to make a ton of money. And then it stops out, bam, 10% of your account's gone, right? So you want to build these habits on your account now because your account's only going to grow. Assuming you're following the strategy, your account's only going to grow. So making any mistake now is cheaper than making it in the future. So you don't want to beat yourself up. So this is a really long video because this is really hard to actually talk about because this is such an in-depth topic. But step 1, you need to have confidence, right? You need to know what your strategy is. You need to understand it, and you need to go into the trade understanding this is my strategy. This fits my criteria. If it stops, it is what it is, right? And so you've probably heard me sometimes on live if you're in my group and you're like, and I'll be like, okay, this was a good trade. We had a good entry. If it stops out, it is what it is, right? Because that's the way you have to be. You have to accept the fact that if it loses, it doesn't matter. It's part of the system. Odds are it's going to miss. Odds are it's going to stop out, right? You have a 30% chance, 40% chance that it's going to be a successful trade. So you can't get caught up in the day. You can't get caught up in, am I losing this trade today? Did I have a red week? Did I have a red, couple weeks? Did I have a red couple days? It doesn't matter. If you are following the rules, it does not matter. I guarantee you the money will come if you follow the rules. I guarantee it. But the second you start tweaking things and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to just start selling the first day. I'm going to start, selling it all on day one just because that's, what I'm seeing is working today or the last couple of days. And then you sell it on day one and then you miss out on all those profits. And now your risk to reward isn't there. You have a 30% win rate and your risk to reward is 1-to-1. You're not going to make money, right? So you have to understand that all of these rules are in place to make you a profitable trader. And so every time you break them, you're bringing yourself away from profitability. And so confidence and understanding are huge. 3 is attitude. And I know this is going to sound like kind of contradictory to what I was saying about how you have to accept that like it's probably going to lose. But you have to go into the day, you have to go into your life thinking that you are a good trader, right? And so what I really shifted and what changed for me is I stopped the mindset of, because for so long I was like, I want to be a profitable trader. I'm going to be profitable. My goal is to be profitable, right? And so what you're telling your mind is, I'm not profitable. I'm not this. I'm not that. I just want to be that. I just want to be this. You're telling yourself you're not there. And so at what point does the line change to where you are profitable, right? You're not going to wake up one day, bam, you're profitable. No, it takes time, right? So what you have to do is you have to understand, look, I'm a profitable trader now. I'm an amazing trader now. I follow my rules now. It's not, I hope I can follow my rules. It's not, I hope I can, be a profitable trader. No, you have to decide on that mentally. Decide I am a profitable trader, because now you are going to have that attitude. And when you have the right attitude, you're going to make the right decisions. That's probably the biggest thing I could ever explain. It's the biggest thing that changed for me. For so long, I was like, I want to be profitable. I want to be profitable. And I was so tempted to over risk. I was tempted to do all these things because I was just trying to become profitable, right? I was trying to become profitable. But once I said I am a profitable trader, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even worried about it. I'm a profitable trader. I know I'm going to make the best decisions. I'm going to enter all the best trades. I'm going to be in the right place at the right time. When you unlock that level of confidence and the level of understanding and the level of awareness, you're going to find that you are going to be in the right place at the right time. And so the last couple of weeks, I had a couple of weeks of, I guess you would just say like a testing time. Like a lot of things were going bad, and I was mentally, really stressed. I was under a lot of pressure, and I just, I didn't have the most mental clarity. And so I had negative thoughts, and I was like, you know what? It's like, I'm just missing all the best trades. I'm getting all these ones that suck. I'm getting in all the losing trades. I'm missing all the best trades. And it's just like, I had that attitude, and it's like I knew I had that attitude because I don't normally have that attitude, but I almost like felt like I couldn't even fix it because it was like, oh my gosh, like my mind is so negative right now, I can't even overcome this. And guess what? I was missing all the best trades. I was taking all the worst trades. I was making the bad decisions. I was missing this, missing that, doing this, doing that. And then I looked at my results and I was like, holy smokes, my result, like this sucks. Like my results suck. And it's like, this is what people do, is they blame the market. They think that, oh, well, the market's just after me, or, oh, yeah, it's just, the market doesn't want me to make money or whatever. You have to understand the market doesn't know who you are. The market doesn't care if you've made millions or lost millions. Your job is to trade a system, right? That is your only job, is to trade the system. I have provided you, if you're in my group, I have provided you with the system that you need to be a profitable trader, to be successful, and to make millions of dollars, billions, whatever. You can make infinite money with this. It's really difficult once you get above 100 million, but up to 100 million, it's very, very, very possible. It just takes a few years. And so you need to understand that if you are not following these rules, and if you have this attitude of like, oh, it's too good to be true, or I'm in all the worst trades, or every trade I take stops out, or, I miss all the best ones. You're right, because you're going to bring that into your life. And I actually wanted to, the book's under here. Okay. Well, the angle of this video is going to get kind of bad for a second because I need to get this book that was holding this up. So I marked this off, and this is from Think and Grow Rich, right? And so this directly relates to everything in life, but related to your trading, right? And so it says, if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but think you can't, it's almost certain that you won't. If you think you'll lose, you're lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with the fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. And I know it sounds cringy because it's like, oh, you just have to think you can, but it's so true. If you don't think you can be profitable, if you don't think you can make millions, if you don't think you're going to be in the right trades, if you don't think you're going to make money, if you don't think you're going to have a good week, if you don't think you're going to make millions of dollars, if you don't think all these things, you're never going to get it. You're never going to outperform this idea of what you think is possible. You're never going to outperform that. So you need to understand that your job is to create the right mentality of, I'm already a good trader. I'm already the best trader in the world. I'm already a millionaire. I'm already making millions. Whatever it is, you need to put this positive attitude in your mind about trading, and you will find that you will get good results. When you have a negative mindset, you'll find that you are attracting negative situations. You will be in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And so one thing I literally tell myself all the time, like recently I've kind of added this into, I guess, my mind. Like I've been purposely planting this in my mind. Like Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, you have to plant these seeds, these positive seeds in your mind, because your mind it's like soil, and you can plant the seeds of good or the seeds of poison right next to each other, and they'll both grow equally. It is your job to plant the good seeds. And so I tell myself I'm always in the right place at the right time. I tell myself that all the time. And it sounds stupid, but it's so powerful, because if you truly believe you're in the right place at the right time, you are going to be in the right place at the right time. And so I'm kind of going to go over, I don't know, this video is all over the place. I could talk about this all day. If you're in my group and you want to go on a one-on-one just about trading mindset, I would be more than happy to do that. But I wrote here, if you think that you enter the worst trades and you miss the best ones, then you're probably right. It's going to happen every time. I had this mentality for so long. It was like, I miss all the best ones. I take all the worst ones. And guess what? I kept missing all the best ones and taking all the worst ones. And once I changed my mentality to I'm always in the right place at the right time, I take all the best trades. And it's not to say that you're not going to have losing trades. It's part of the game. You have to understand it's a game of probabilities. Chances are you're going to lose. You have to accept that, but you have to understand that you are trading the system, and the system's going to work. But it only works if you actually trade the system. If you break the rules and you're bending the rules, it's probably not going to work. And so you have to learn how to accept losses, right? The best loser wins. It's a game of probability. Like I said, chances are you're going to lose the trade that you're taking. Long term, you're going to win if you follow the strategy, but chances are the trade that you are taking today is going to stop out. It's a 60% chance it stops out. So you have to go into understanding, look, there's a 60% chance this does not work. Am I okay with losing 3, 4, 5% of my account when this doesn't work? Right? You have to ask yourself these questions. You have to ask yourself, am I actually getting a good entry, right? Is this FOMO? Am I just buying this because other people are buying it? Am I just buying this because it's going up? Or does this actually fit my criteria, right? For a while, I went through this where it was like everything that went up, I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. And then I found that's not how you're going to make money. There's a lot of stocks that go up, but if you want to make a lot of money, you have to buy the best ones. And that's where it gets difficult. And so, let's see, you have to think long term, right? So you have to understand you're following a system, and the system is going to have times of drawdown. You're going to have bad times. You're going to have times where you're not making money. It's just part of the game. We have to trade the system, trade the system, trade the system. And so you have to understand, you have to make sure your sizing is correct. A lot of people struggle with this, and so they'll be like big size or whatever, and then they'll lose like 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and then they'll lighten up on size, and they'll go small size because they're scared, and then they get scared, right? And then the things start working, and then by the time they have their confidence back, they're still small size. They went through a whole bull run with small size, and then now they're like, okay, I'm ready to size up, and then they size up and the market pulls back, right? So you have to understand that you need to be confident in your strategy. You have to understand there's going to be times when, yes, you need to let off the gas. Yes, you need to, trade with a little smaller size. Yes, there are times and places for that, but you don't want to just, if you're normally risking, a percent of your account on all these trades every single time, and you went through a losing streak, and you're like, okay, from now on, I'm only doing 0.1%. Well, you're not going to make any money to ever make up for any of your losses because you're scared. Now, if you are on tilt and you're just in a bad losing streak, by all means, you can lighten up your size. But you have to understand, right when you start winning, you need to go back to the your normal size. If you stay scared and unconfident, you're never going to make it, because by the time you build your confidence, the bull run's probably going to be over, right? You're always going to have to be the biggest size, not the biggest size, but you're going to be big size a lot of times when a lot of people are scared to be big size, because you're buying it when the market's starting to break out. If you're buying it once everything's on the news about how crazy the stocks are going, odds are you're at the top, right? You're probably not going to get much more action. And so you need to judge based on your execution, not your results, right? If you are judging based on your execution, then you should never be mad. And I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you need to understand that, like, if you take a trade, right, and it breaks 5-minute highs, your stop loss is where it should be, and it fails the breakout, it stops you out. You have to understand that is a very successful trade. A lot of people move their stop losses. A lot of people will fight that. A lot of people will buy more and try to average down. They'll be like, oh, it went down, I'm going to buy more. Or they'll sell it and then they'll see it dip and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy more. And it's like they break all of their rules. They break their entire strategy. And then ultimately they probably end up losing on the rebuy, and then they just made a bigger hole for themselves, right? So you need to understand there's a 3-step process. I've been actually using this a lot. People are probably annoyed of it, but there's 3 steps to life. This is just how you have to handle everything in life. Step 1, just accept it is what it is, right? You can't, there's nothing that's good or bad. Everything just, it is what it is. You get to perceive it, right? So you just have to accept it, whatever it is. If you lost a trade, accept it. Yeah, I lost. Okay. Step 2, you need to harvest the good in the situation. So even if it's a losing trade, there is just as much good in that situation as bad. The whole reason I had this idea to make this video is because of a trade I had today. I was doing a day trade, and I'm mostly a swing trader, but I day trade a little bit, but with like pretty small size. And I took one that just did not, or no, it was yesterday. And I took one and I broke my own rules and I sold too early because I got scared, right? I didn't have confidence in the strategy, and then it hit my take profit and I would have made like 40% in like I think it was 30 or 25 minutes, 30 minutes. But I didn't do that because I got scared and I broke the rules, right? So it's like I had the perfect setup, I had the strategy, I had everything I needed, but the mindset broke it, right? I had everything I needed, but I still didn't make money on the trade. I didn't lose money. I sold it for what I bought it for, but ultimately, that's a loss because I risked the money and I didn't make anything. So my risk to reward was 0 to 1, which is awful, or 1 to 0. Yeah. So that's kind of what pointed it out to me, right? And so now I could be like, oh my gosh, I missed on that trade. I could have made money. I could have made 40% on that, but it's like that idea or that trade is what gave me the idea to make this video, right? I'm harvesting the good out of that situation. So you need to accept it is what it is, harvest the good out of the situation, and then step 3, you have to let go of it. Just let go of it. It doesn't matter. It's over. You can't change it. It's done. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about it, because when you try to revenge, when you try to make up for what you've done in the past, it's going to be worse. I've been through this, trust me, and I know me telling you this isn't necessarily going to help prevent it because, a lot of times you have to experience it for yourself, but if you're trying to take these trades to make up for something, or like if you see other people posting stuff and you have FOMO, whatever it may be, and you start, just kind of going on tilt. You're like, oh, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this. Things are going to go really bad, really bad. You have to just accept it is what it is, and you just have to let go. If you see like your results, and so this is the biggest thing is I don't really, like, obviously I look at my results, yes, right? But I don't get, I try not to get emotionally involved. And what that means is like, I try not to really care. I try not to let it affect me because I'm not where I want to be, right? I want to be making millions. I want to be, whatever. I want to be getting 100% of my account per month, right? Because I truly believe anything is possible. Does that sound crazy? Yeah, of course. Am I going to do that every single month? No. But is there a way for me to do that? Yes. So that's my goal, right? Your goal should scare you. And so I don't focus on the results I'm getting. I don't get mad at myself if I'm not getting the 100%. I don't beat myself up if I'm not getting that 100%. I don't do these things. I just simply accept. I analyze what I've done. I accept it. I see what I can change, and then I put in my mind, I'm earning $100,000 a month, whatever. I'm earning $1 million a month. I'm earning 100% of my account every month, whatever it may be. And so you just have to understand that, like, you can't get emotional with your results. If you are on tilt, right? Say you're on a losing streak. Say like the last 2 weeks, it's like every day you've just been losing. If you are staring at your account and you are getting mad, and you are allowing that to enter into your trading, arena, you're going to do worse. You're going to keep that tilt going even longer because you are getting mad and you're using your anger to try to trade, which is going to give you bad decisions. You have to go into it extremely level-headed. You have to go into it like a robot. And let me tell you, if you are angry, you are not a robot. You are not going to be executing perfectly. And so, that's honestly the biggest thing is you need to just, what I do or what I've been doing recently is I just look at it like I'm just trading the system. I'm a profitable trader. I'm the best trader in the world. Whatever positive things you want to tell yourself, and you just say I'm just trading the system, right? Does this meet my criteria? Yes. Did that stop out? Yeah, it stopped out. Did that make me 10 times my risk? Did I make 10 grand on that? Did I make $1,000 on that? Did I make $500 on that? Yeah, I did. You just have to accept it and move on, good or bad, because you need to be a robot. And if you are getting extremely excited about the wins, you're probably going to be extremely depressed about the losses, and you are not going to be level-headed. So you just have to understand that it's like, it is what it is. Don't look at it. Don't look at your account. I do not look at my account very much, right? I could have my whole entire account invested. I could have 100% invested in my portfolio in these stocks, and I will not check it that often. Like, I do not check my portfolio. I can stare at the stock. I'll look at the stock on my screen, but I'm not checking my Webull P&L, refreshing. No, it's just going to stress you out. So I know this was long, but To sum it up, you need to understand the strategy because understanding will build your confidence. You need to have the right attitude. You need to be positive. It sounds stupid, but it's true. If you are saying that you're always in the wrong place at the wrong time, if you're saying you miss all the best trades, if you're saying all these things, you're right. You're exactly right. You're going to attract the worst trades. You're going to oversleep and we're going to take a bunch of good trades. Whatever it may be, you are going to bring whatever you put out. If you are saying that you're going to miss all the best stuff and you're going to oversleep and you miss all the best ones, whatever it may be, you're going to be right. You're exactly right. It's what's going to happen. And so your attitude is so important because your attitude is really what determines your results. And then you understand that you are just trading the system and you have to understand what the system includes. It includes a 30-35% win rate on the trades, right? Chances are the trade's going to lose. So if the trade loses, you can't beat yourself up. You can't get mad. You can analyze it, see what you could have done different. But if it fits the criteria and it lost, it is what it is. And so that's what you want to do. You want to be as robotic as possible. You have to remove the emotion. You cannot, you can't have FOMO. You can't chase stuff. If it stops you out and it, you don't need to just buy stuff because it's going up. You don't need to buy every stock that looks good. You just buy the best ones and you learn over time. You're going to miss a lot. You're going to miss a ton of stocks. But understand there's always more opportunities. Notice that last time you missed a trade, you don't even remember it because you were thinking about the one that you just missed today or yesterday. There's always more opportunities. So I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.